Welcome to Engineering Out Loud, the fifth deep dive in our series, from MECHESOL's MESP Management Development Program, titled Agile and Adaptive Project Environments.
Great to be diving in.
Ready to get a handle on project chaos?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe learn how to roll with the punches instead of getting knocked out by them?
That's the goal.
Then you're definitely in the right place. And hey, if you like what you hear today and want to, go even deeper, be sure to apply, register, or visit mechesolco.com/CPD for more info.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're tackling a big one: how projects deal with all that unpredictable stuff that just inevitably pops up.
Yeah, the uncertainties.
Exactly. We're pulling straight from the MECHESOL program materials to give you the inside track on adaptive and agile approaches.
Good stuff in there.
So let's kick things off. When we talk about a project being adaptive, what does that really mean? Like in practical terms.
Okay, think of it like this. Imagine you're planning a big road trip. You've got your final destination clear in your head, right? That's your initial project vision.
Right.
But what if a major highway gets closed? Unexpectedly.
Yeah, happens all the time.
An adaptive approach is basically saying, okay, no big deal. We'll figure out a new route based on what's happening now. It's about knowing upfront that things will probably change.
So expecting the unexpected.
Sort of, yeah. Requirements might shift. New info comes to light. You build the project so you can adjust and still get where you need to go.
Okay.
What's interesting is you don't try to map out every single tiny turn right at the start. No.
Wow.
Instead, you take it in smaller chunks, iterations. You get feedback along the way, and you use that feedback to refine your plans.
So it's not just reacting blindly then. It's more like having a clear end goal, but being smart about the journey.
Absolutely. That's the key. The core idea is those short cycles, those iterations.
Mm-hmm.
You deliver small pieces of the project, but you do it frequently. And after each delivery, you get feedback.
Oh, users?
Users, stakeholders, maybe even just seeing how things work in the real environment.
Right.
That feedback loop is crucial. It lets you check, are we still on the right track? Or do we need to tweak things? It's like checking your map and the weather forecast constantly on that road trip.
Okay, I get that analogy.
And this iterative, incremental way of working means the final thing, the product, it evolves based on real input. Makes it much more likely to actually be useful.
That makes total sense. So adaptive is the big picture, the mindset of being flexible. Now, where does Agile fit in? Is it just another word for the same thing?
Good question. Not exactly. Think of Agile as more like a specific set of tools and techniques that help you be adaptive.
Oh, okay.
It's a way of putting that whole adaptive philosophy into action. Agile really embraces the idea that change isn't just possible, it's like inevitable. And it gives you a structure for responding well.
Okay, so Agile is how we actually do the adapting.
Got it.
Got it. Can you give me an example? Like, what does an Agile approach look like day to day for a team?
Sure. A classic feature of many Agile ways, like Scrum, is the short sprint, often just 1 or 2 weeks long. It is. And at the start of each sprint, the team pulls a small, manageable chunk of work from a list. We call it a backlog. It's prioritized.
Like a to-do list?
Pretty much, yeah, but a dynamic one. They figure out how they'll tackle that work, they collaborate really closely during the sprint, and then at the end. The goal is to have a working piece of the product to actually show.
Wow, okay.
This constant cycle plan, do, show, get feedback, that's what makes Agile so responsive.
So it's all about breaking things way down, getting quick wins, and quick feedback loops.
Precisely. Agile methods really prioritize delivering value, something usable early and often. Those short cycles and frequent demos mean you get that stakeholder feedback super early.
Which lets you change course if you need to.
Exactly. Before you've sunk tons of time and money going in the wrong direction. Agile teams don't really fear change. They kind of see it as a chance to learn and make the end result better.
Okay. Fosters collaboration too, I bet.
Definitely. Collaboration and continuous learning are huge parts of it.
Got it. So if I'm hearing this right, adaptive is the overall strategy for dealing with uncertainty. And Agile is more the specific tactics, the frameworks you use to execute that strategy.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Are there like different types of Agile then? Different flavors?
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole range. You've got Scrum, which we mentioned, with those sprints and specific roles like product owner, Scrum master, development team.
Right.
They use things called artifacts, like the product backlog and sprint backlog, to manage the work. Then there's Kanban.
Kanban, yeah, I've heard of that. Boards with cards.
Exactly. It's very visual, focuses on the flow of work, limiting how much stuff is in progress at once to keep things moving smoothly.
Okay.
And you also have things like extreme programming, XP, which is really focused on strong software engineering practices, things like test-driven development, pair programming, all aimed at high quality and super rapid feedback.
It sounds like quite a toolkit within Agile itself. Now, we've talked a lot about adapting and being agile.
Hmm.
When might a more traditional, maybe less flexible approach still be the right way to go?
That's a really key question because it's not always about agile or adaptive. If you're working on something where the requirements are incredibly clear, really stable, unlikely to change,
Like building a bridge, maybe.
perfect example, building a bridge, or maybe certain types of manufacturing where the specs are locked down tight. In those cases, a more predictive, plan-driven approach like waterfall can work just fine. It can be very efficient.
You planned everything up front in detail and just execute.
Pretty much. Plan the work the plan.
But honestly, in today's world, it feels like those kinds of super stable, unchanging projects are getting, well, rarer.
You're spot on. I mean, the pace of change in almost every industry now is just intense. Being able to adapt quickly isn't just nice to have, it's often a major competitive advantage.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's exactly why agile and adaptive approaches have become so popular. They're designed for dynamic, uncertain environments. They help you thrive in them.
Okay.
And hey, speaking of thriving, if you're finding this useful and want to really dig into how these adaptive and agile ideas could work for your projects, now's a good time to remind you to apply, register, or visit mechesolco.com/CPD. Lots more in-depth stuff there.
Good reminder. So just to really nail it down,
Yeah.
can we say that all agile approaches are adaptive by nature, but not all adaptive approaches are necessarily, strictly speaking, agile?
Exactly right. You've nailed it. Agile methods, with their focus on short cycles, feedback, collaboration, they are textbook examples of how to be adaptive. But the bigger idea, the umbrella concept of being adaptive, having that clear vision but adjusting your path based on what you learn, that can be applied in other ways too.
Like how?
Well, you might have a huge program, right, an overall adaptive strategy for the whole thing, but maybe different teams within that program use different methods. Some might use Scrum, very clearly agile. Others might use something else that's still flexible and iterative, but maybe not a defined agile framework.
Okay, so you could even mix and match under that adaptive umbrella.
Absolutely. Things like the Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe, or Disciplined Agile Delivery, DAD, offer ways to apply these ideas at larger scales or tailor them more specifically to your context. They fit within that broader adaptive category.
That really clarifies the relationship. So understanding this isn't just like academic theory. It's about having the right tools and, maybe more importantly, the right mindset to deal with the messy reality of actual projects.
Couldn't have said it better myself. In today's world, flexibility isn't a luxury, right? It's pretty much a necessity.
Yeah.
By getting your head around these adaptive and agile principles, you really empower yourself and your teams to deliver more successfully even when things get bumpy, which they often do.
Yeah.
And, if you're ready to take that understanding further, see how MECHESOL's MESP Management Development Program can help you really master these skills. Well, you know where to go. Apply, register, or visit mechesolco.com/CPD.
Excellent. So let's do a quick recap then. Adaptive approaches. Great for high uncertainty. Focus on a clear vision, but refine it with feedback. Use iterative delivery.
Yep.
Agile. That's a mindset and a set of practices within adaptive. Think short iterations, delivering value early, embracing change, lots of collaboration.
You got it. And agile is definitely adaptive.
Right. And the best approach, predictive, adaptive, agile, really depends on your specific project, how much certainty you have.
Exactly. Context is key.
Well, thanks so much for breaking all that down. Super helpful.
My pleasure. Always good talking about this stuff.
And thank you for tuning in to this deep dive. We hope this gives you a clearer picture of how to tackle project uncertainty head on. A final thought maybe, in a world that just keeps changing faster, maybe the most valuable skill isn't having the perfect plan, but being brilliant at adapting when it changes. Until next time, keep those projects flexible.